Okay, we're just going to look at a couple of techniques we can employ when editing single channels in a multi-channel document. So for example, I've got a sky image here. If I move across to the channels panel, we've got our typical red, green and blue channels. And we can isolate and see a grayscale representation of these channels just by single clicking them. So there's red, green and blue. Now say we wanted to denoise this image. If we have a look at the blue channel, it's fairly light and there's not a lot of noise hiding here. So that's good. Then if we move across to the green channel, it's slightly darker and we start to see some noise appearing here. Then if we have a look at the red channel, it's a lot darker and we've got much coarser noise, and we can even see the patterning to the noise here as well. So what we'll do is take slightly different approaches to denoising both the red and green channel. So if we switch back to composite green, we see the little pencil icon here. That means we're only editing the green channel at the moment. So with that in mind, if I go to Filters, Noise and Denoise, and then I drag Luminance Denoise all the way up, that will denoise the noise in the green channel. So we'll click Apply. Okay, so far so good. So then we switch across to the red channel. Now to tackle the coarser noise, instead of using denoise, what we can do is go to Filters, Blur and Bilateral Blur. So bilateral blur is an edge preserving blur filter. And you might argue that in this particular image, there isn't really a lot of edge detail to preserve, but there is still a marginal difference between using, say, bilateral blur versus Gaussian or median blur. So we want to pick a suitable radius of, say, around 4.5 pixels and then click Apply. Okay, so let's just zoom out a little bit. And then if we switch between the channels, we'll now see that although red still has a little bit of coarse grain in it, overall, by tackling the noise in the channels separately, we've not had to touch the blue channel at all. Okay, so let's take this approach with a more difficult image. So here's a low light, high ISO image, and we've got plenty of noise in the sky here. What we'll do this time is convert the image from RGB to lab. So on color format here, I want to choose lab 16-bit. And what this does is allow us to isolate lightness from color information. So if we have a look at the lightness channel here, we'll see quite a lot of noise. Then if we look at A opponent, we'll see there's less noise, and B opponent contains a bit more noise. So again, it's a similar principle. What we'll do is just tackle the lightness and B opponent channel and leave A opponent intact. So let's have a look at lightness first of all. Once again, we'll employ a bilateral blur filter. So we'll go in, choose bilateral blur, and then we want to tweak the settings a bit more this time. So we'll use a larger radius, say about 20 pixels. But you see here, we've got all this edge detail that we need to try and preserve. So we'll lower the tolerance to about 2 or 3%. And then click Apply. Okay, and then if we switch across to the B opponent channel, this is going to be purely color noise now. So on the Filters, Noise, Denoise filter, Luminance Denoise isn't going to have any effect whatsoever, so we can take that down, and then we simply bring color denoise up, and there we'll see the noise disappear. So we'll click Apply. Okay, so then let's just quickly scan through all three channels. We'll start with lightness. There we go, we've removed all of that horrible noise in the sky. A opponent is mostly okay, so we didn't need to work on it at all. And then B opponent, we've also got rid of that color noise. So we'll go ahead and reset the channel view. And there we can see we've got a nice clean sky and a much cleaner image overall, without compromising too much the actual image detail or fidelity. So there we go, just an idea for you as regards editing channels in isolation. Do experiment with this technique, try it with other filters, and also try it with tools like the paintbrush tool. A very quick example off the top of my head is if you're editing in Lab, why not try just sharpening the lightness channel and leaving the color channels alone? So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or queries, please do ask on the Affinity forums, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials. Thank you for watching.